Hi guys, I'm Cristiano from Varritech, and I'm going to show you how at Varritech we have a series of agents using OpenClaw that automate several different aspects in the business. So this is what comprises our AI workforce plan as part of Varritech, and I just want to show you a little bit about how these OpenClaw systems work. So what is OpenClaw? OpenClaw is an orchestrator that we say, and it is something that a lot of people bought Mac Minis to run on. It can run on a server. It can run locally to have webhook access to, say, iMessage, for example. I'm on a Mac. I'm going to show you guys how I'm currently using Ollama, so you can have locally hosted models. You don't have to pay for token fees, because token fees using, say, Claude would cost you, honestly, hundreds of dollars every few hours. So you'll absolutely lose all of your money if you're going to be using OpenClaw with Claude Opus. Now, this is my terminal, and I love the terminal because there's just so many different things you could do. This is really what an engineer thrives in. And so I have different agents. So I have one that's creating content for me and pushing it towards LinkedIn. I have an engineer. The engineer is constantly looking at the ticket backlog to see which tickets are filed, and it has essentially webhook set up to ClickUp. So when a ticket is created, that webhook is fired to OpenClaw. OpenClaw can see that, and it can actually push out a PR to resolve that. Marketing. So marketing is one that is helping to edit some videos that I have and post content to, very similar to the content agent. I'm going to go over Outreach, because Outreach is quite interesting. And so right now I'm in Outreach, and I have Whisper Flow, so I'm actually going to talk to it. I want you to say what is within this workspace. So what is the agent's responsibility? Look into your memory and just give me a synopsis as to what you're doing. Okay. Usually takes about, say, 15 seconds to load. And you can see that it streams, which is quite interesting. So you can understand what the feedback loop is, this mode of thinking. And there's research papers that show that when LLMs are thinking, they produce better results. So it adds context to the current context window. And so you can see what it's doing. It's going to go over agents. Okay. So what does this do? You can see here, this is just a general OpenClaw. So LinkedIn Outreach. So it's a prospect tracker, and it is currently looking at different waves of prospects. It's tracking outreach progress. It's managing follow-ups, updating memory, proactive checks, respecting boundaries. Okay, cool. So these are the prospects. We wait for connection acceptance, send a value first DM. And the cool thing is that this can control your browser. And so this can actually go into LinkedIn and automate your browser. And when that happens, it doesn't get easily detected, because if you're running something like Playwright, it opens in either, a separate browser that doesn't have your same profile, and these websites can catch it. But with OpenClaw, that isn't the case. And so we can ask a little bit more. Okay, and so how does this run on a daily basis? What other important information should people know if I'm explaining this in a video? What is your configuration? It's cool because you can literally just ask it, what should I talk about in this video? Okay. So let's see how this is running. While that's running, I want to pull up Ollama, which is an interesting tool. And so Ollama. Okay, so you can see a little bit more about what the configuration is here. Okay, so this workspace is currently manual. This is what would happen on a daily basis. So check LinkedIn within 24 hours of acceptance, follow-ups, tracking responses. It's also writing to a database as well. So here you can see memory-driven continuity, but the actual LinkedIn leads are being tracked in a database. You can see what the model is. So that's Ollama. Okay, great. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the documentation of Ollama here. We can take a look at this. So what is Ollama? So there's Ollama. You can download it. This is the cloud version. So it's the same thing as a hosted model. But the interesting is that you can also, let's say, quick start. You can also, so yeah, you can launch OpenClaw with it, but we can these are the integrations, so these are all the different tools with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pull up a new terminal here. Ollama help. Okay, so what can we do? Well, we can serve. So we can serve a Ollama model. We can list models. Why don't we do Ollama list? Okay, so we have different models. So these are the cloud versions. But we can also have local versions as well. So let's say we were to pull a model from registry. Well, what would be a model that we could look at? Let's say I want to see where models are. Capabilities, integrations, importing a model. So essentially an LLM is just a series of weights, which are tensors. These are vectors. Not to get too complicated into the actual composition of LLMs, but and also if you create your own model, you can share it on Ollama as well for other people who want to use it for free. At Varritech, we're going to be building out our own models, which are going to be hyper specialized for building out MVPs. Okay. So let's go Ollama models. Okay, library. Okay, so these are examples of the different models that we can look at. So 8 billion parameters, DeepSeek, different flavors as well. The bigger they are, the harder it is to basically run locally. So DeepSeek R1. We have all these different flavors. And obviously they get quite big. But something like DeepSeek R1, 1.5 billion, that's going to be a very small model. It's going to be quite fast as well. So let's try that. So we're going to go, command is Ollama pull. Okay. And it is just going to pull like that. So in the meantime, while that's going, I'll just let that pull. This is currently running Ollama in the cloud. If I were to pull a 395 billion parameter LLM, it'll be hundreds of gigabytes that it wouldn't be able to run on my laptop. So this one is the cloud version. So yeah, I'm going to let that run. One moment. Okay. So you can see it's not actually that big. So it's able to pull pretty quickly. Nice. Okay. So it pulled. Now, we've got this pulled. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to serve this one. Serve DeepSeek. Okay. Great. Okay, now let's ask OpenClaw. OpenClaw, we just installed a new model via Ollama. It is DeepSeek R1, 1.5 billion parameter. I want you to use that. Put that in here. Okay. And so OpenClaw is actually able to edit its own files, which means it's able to configure itself, which is interesting. And part of the reason why it's such a powerful tool is that it can, it's running off of a series of files, right? Configuration file, which is just a big JSON file. And so it can actually update itself and then restart. This is different than something that is like Claude Code, which is designed for you to have constant input. This can run on a server. So this can run, via webhooks, via cron. There's no problem. Okay. This is going to change the model for the current session. So it's also smart enough to understand that it has to use Ollama / DeepSeek in order to run. This is going to be a much smaller model. So once it does change, it should be quite fast. It's also able to execute commands on my machine. I'm close to that mono list. So it can run as a sub-process Ollama list. So it can see that, okay, DeepSeek actually does exist there. So it's going to restart itself. The model config is updated and the gateway is restarting. One thing to keep in mind is that if you do have this as a client-facing system, you just need to make sure that it doesn't stream thoughts, because it'll, instead of responding to somebody, it'll stream what its thought process is. And so that becomes a bit of a security concern, because you're revealing what the internal composition is. With OpenClaw, you do need to be careful. You do need to, it is essentially a remote access into your computer. And so it can control browser, which means it can do anything on your computer. So that's why you want to have it on a separate machine, or you want to have it in a cloud. Okay. So it restarted the gateway, but it looks like the gateway didn't get pulled up. So I'm going to check out something like Claude Code to help fix the OpenClaw. I want you to fix the OpenClaw, particularly the outreach agent. So in the outreach workspace, right now we just switched to Ollama DeepSeek. So we switched the model and then it actually broke. So please debug what's going on there. So what I like to do is I like to use Claude Code in combination with OpenClaw, because if there's any issues that are happening, I'm able to prompt it to resolve. So I like to build OpenClaw with Claude Code. You can see here it's going into the proper workspace for outreach. Each of these agents have their own workspace, so their own memory files. You can also Dockerize it as well. And if you Dockerize it, agents don't bring each other down. So even if one agent went down, it wouldn't bring another one down. And that's usually what we're going to use for clients. So we're going to host it on a cloud server, and everyone's agents are going to be Dockerized. So it's their own specific containers that can't infiltrate or bring down any other systems, right? Because if you have them all running with a shared workspace, then what'll happen is if one goes down, or if you change the configuration for one, it changes it for everything. Now I want you to use DeepSeek as the main model. Yes, that's fine. Use the 1.5 billion. See, Claude is smart because it knows that it's actually a small model, so it's going to be quite weak. You usually want to go for something bigger, and there is a leaderboard. So you can see here it changed the OpenClaw outreach.json. Okay, so we added it to the models list. Great. And Claude Code is smart. It actually knows what command that I probably should execute. So I can just hit enter. It already knows restart the outreach agent. Okay. Cool. So let's see. And you can see it's now reconnected. What model are you using now? Can you tell me if it's confirmed that it's using DeepSeek? Okay, we need to restart it. That's why. So I'm going to exit. I'm going to go new. I'll just type this. Looks like this is still using the Ollama Qwen. Can you make sure that DeepSeek was properly allocated to the outreach workspace? Okay. So still running the cloud version and not the local one. This is why you always need to test things. Restart it, please. What model are you using? Okay. So it actually did switch to DeepSeek, but DeepSeek is breaking because the model doesn't support tools, which is another essentially property that LLMs have to be able to call and use different functions, essentially. Okay, so this enough. It shows you a little bit about how the configuration goes, how you can run a locally hosted model. If you had bigger hardware, you could run something that's bigger and better. Like you can run Qwen locally, and that way you don't have to pay for any token fees because it's just a local file on your computer. And so imagine going from hundreds of dollars to virtually zero, just the cost of electricity and energy, is a big change. And so we're going to make more videos about OpenClaw. We do have the Varritech AI Workforce Package. I'm just going to briefly show what that looks like. And so the idea here is that we build these OpenClaws, and they are the AI that never clocks out. I mean, this is, you can see that it's able to navigate the browser. You could say book the cheapest nonstop flight, add it to my calendar and ping Jordan. So it could connect to Slack, add it to your Google Calendar, you can search airlines. This came from Jason Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. This is the new computer, OpenClaw. And so you can see that, content creation, 88% reduction, customer support, 92%, because obviously, that you still need to review things and you need to set it up. But essentially, all of these tools can be done via OpenClaw. And so we have a bunch of different jobs that would previously be occupied by humans. Now they're computers. And we can do all of these for you. So that seems interesting. Book a call. You'll speak directly with me, and we can figure out a custom implementation plan. These are our pricing. So flat rate plus maintenance. And this is the biggest bundle. So up to 10 roles. Okay. We will see you in the next video. Take care.